What's happening, man? So I want to analyze the career of one of the most successful phenomenons of the last, I want to say, 15 years. And that phenomenon is Drake. Drake has been one of the most successful musicians over the last 15 years. How did this happen? And what model was this individual abiding by? So what you want to look at here is the fact that Drake, and kudos to the individual. However you might think he did it, he went out there and became one of the most successful musicians of all time. And the way you want to look at it is, this guy had a very, very compatible formula, and a very, very effective formula. This guy had a very, very effective formula. So what he basically did, or not him, but his label, they came up with harmonies that were very catchy. They made the use of his voice as much as possible. Like this guy, he can't really sing that well, but he does have a decent pitch, and they use that pitch to essentially, they created beats using that pitch that suited his voice, and they were able to hide the faults of his voice through auto-tune, which again, I'm not faulting any of these things, I think that, do what you gotta do. But essentially what they did with Drake is they found a formula and they stuck by that formula. They adapted it where needed, and they were able to create mass appeal music that was easy on the ear, catchy, and because they had this formula, they were able to just recreate hits that often sounded very, very similar to the last hit, but different enough to keep the audience engaged. The other thing that they did with Drake is they made him appeal predominantly to female audience. And a lot of the time, if you appeal to the female audience, the male audience will follow suit. And so that's what they did. A lot of Drake's music is chick music. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And they made sure that they captured the female audience, because the female audience is a very powerful audience. And not only that, the record labels, A&Rs, and marketers made sure that Drake was always appealing to a young audience. A young audience is the audience that you want to capture if you can, because the young audience is the audience that are going to circulate music. When you're in school, you're not working 9 to 5, and you're kind of just got more of a carefree lifestyle. You have more time to kind of listen to music and what have you. Like, as I get older, I have less time to find out the new songs, but the youngsters, they have that time to sort out new music. And so if you can appeal to those who have time on their hands, then you're onto a winner. And even the slightly older demographic as well, if you can appeal to them, then that's always going to benefit you, because the slightly older but still young demographic, the ones who are going to college, the ones who are partying, if you can create songs to cater for that audience, then that's great. And also you have to factor in the fact that a lot of the young audience are going to make less financial responsible decisions. So they might spend $1,000 on a picture with Drake, you know, at the concert. You know, that's what, so if you're appealing to a young audience, that is a huge market to hit. And Drake's management team are successful in hitting the young audience. The other thing is, you know, Drake, in my opinion, is not the most talented musician out there. You know, his music sounds good. You know, it's very overproduced, very tightly produced. You'd be hard pressed to find an error in the mix and the masters, but you know, it's very well put together music. But in terms of Drake naturally as a musician, I don't think he's too talented. And when I see his live performances, I'm not blown away. You know, I'm not blown away by his singing ability. I'm not blown away by, you know, if you were to get Drake and say freestyle off the top of your head, no pre-written bars, just make it up as you go, you know, I don't think he would outdo a lot of these battle rappers. But he's more famous than all of them, made more money than all of them. So I don't think Drake is the most talented musician out there. But I think his team around him came up with a formula that worked, that they could keep repumping and rebranding as needed as they went along. And it worked, you know. His voice has a decent pitch to it, so they were able to work around that with the auto-tune and the beats that they were tailoring to him. His rapping isn't great, but they were able to, you know, with songwriting and what have you, and assistance and voice control and all of that, they were able to make catchy rap tunes. And so even with the image as well, they were tailoring the image, you know, at certain times to certain, you know, they're changing the image as they go to prevent, you know, a tedious marketing campaign. They were collaborating with the right people, you know, the right people to capture the right audience, because Drake isn't a typical rap image. His image, especially when he first came out, wasn't the typical rap image. I know Kanye West kind of changed that sort of persona or image a little bit with his college dropout and late registration albums, but when Drake first came out, you know, and really hit the market in 2009, his image wasn't, you know, the sort of soft guy, wasn't really an accepted image in rap. So Drake had to collaborate with the typical image, you know, people in rap, you know, like, you know, Lil Wayne or Jay-Z, or like just like guys with a tough image, you know, to sort of get that, you know, Rick Ross, to get that stamp of approval from the normal hip hop head. So they did that well. So for me to conclude, Drake, how did he become so successful? They found that formula and they milked it. And also they collaborated with the right people at the right time to get that stamp of approval from normal hip hop heads. And they appealed to the right audience, you know, they appealed to the right audience. And what they actually did was quite clever, because they got a guy with limited talent, in my opinion, limited natural talent. And, you know, they made the most out of it. I mean, that's an understatement. So yeah, let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work and want to leave a donation, there's a link for that in the description with that. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you on the next one.